Welcome, my friends, to another Meet the American Expats in Russia episode with Derek and DeAnna Huffman, originally from the great state of Texas, and Tim Kirby of Tim Kirby Russia. I feel Tim Kirby needs no introduction whatsoever because you've been here forever, haven't
Oh,
you?
and maybe the small universe of like Americans in Russia, yeah. I'm pretty famous in Russia in general. In America, I'm a nobody though.
Yeah, and Mr. Nobody, I'm there as well. So
Yeah.
for the people in America who have never heard of Tim Kirby and might just on the off chance be listening in on this program for the first time, who is Tim Kirby?
I'm an American who moved to Russia way back when YouTube was a young baby in its infancy, I became YouTube famous in Russia. And that sort of launched my career in the Russian media as a whole. And since then, I've worked on the radio and in television and on all sorts of projects and all this other stuff. And that's kind of my background as the weird one majorly influential American in the Russian media who's been around since the good old days, the dawn of the smartphone.
Yeah, you're ancient, my friend. So yeah, you've
Yeah.
been around for quite a while. And we've got Derek and DeAnna Huffman, I believe, probably Russia's newest immigrants, at least in my sphere. You're new. And so tell us a little bit about you and where you came from. And yeah, just let us know who you are.
Me too. Yeah. I'm Derek. This is my wife, Deanna. We have three daughters. We also have three sons who are older that are still in America. But I don't know, man. A few years ago, we just decided we wanted to move somewhere, wanted to go somewhere different, um, and raise our daughters. And actually, that's where I first came across Tim Kirby. I saw an article somewhere about an American village in Russia,
Mhm.
and even before that, we had seen a funny Christmas video that was President Putin coming to a house, and they had gay parents, and he came in like Santa Claus and fixed everything. Gave him a father and a mother, and obviously it
Mhm.
spoke to our values. So that's initially
Hmm.
what
Hmm.
started us kind of looking. And then I saw a thing about an American village and came across Tim's channel, and the rest is history. But yeah, it's we're basically here a family of five. Our daughters Sophia, Ashlyn, and Catherine are 10, 11, and 12. And yeah, man, we're just getting settled in and couldn't be happier to be here.
Wonderful, wonderful. And how long ago was it that you first ran across this video of Tim Kirby or this article?
It's been almost 2 years now. It was in 2023 at some point. Um, so once we had seen that, we decided, okay, like I tell everybody, the first step if you want to move out here, do like we did. We figured we should come see it in person. And so in October 2023, um, we took a late honeymoon. We've been married a few years, but we never got our true honeymoon. So we chose to come here and
Nice.
fell in love with the place and made sure it was right for us and our family. And yeah, so that was in 2023. Came back in 2024 and put a down payment on the house that we're now sitting in and completed at the beginning of March. And here we are.
So before we fast forward to, I guess, the present, I still kind of want to be in the past a little bit, and if you could fill in our viewers, what led to this decision to decide to move abroad, and was your decision to move abroad like directly focused at Russia, or were you looking at other countries, and you just happened to come across this article with Tim Kirby, or what was the decision making process? Just briefly on how that happened.
Well, we had bought some land. We were in Houston, in a suburb of Houston, Texas. We had bought land about an hour outside of Houston, and we were going to build a house, about a half acre. No, I'm sorry, it was 2 acres. I'm sorry, it was 2 acres. We were going to build a house and try to be out of the city, and we just more and more started noticing that the gay and lesbian agenda, the transgenderism. Couldn't even turn on Cartoon Network without them shoving it down our kids' throats. And so Russia wasn't our first focus. The first focus was, okay, where can we go? Um, so our first thought was still staying in America, but getting out of the major cities, kind of out on our own, maybe find some work online and homeschool our children. And I don't know, we got to the point where we realized there was no outrunning the American government. There's don't matter where you go, they're going to find you. You're going to have this stuff crammed down your throat. So we started thinking, okay, where could we go? Um, you know, there's got to be another country. But then again, as I was looking around, it seemed like other Western countries were having the same issues we're having here, or even worse. And then that's when I stumbled across that video of President Putin, Christmas video, and so then that led me to start looking into Russia, and that's when we came across Tim Kirby.
Wow. And so when you first came across Tim Kirby's video, was it with about the American Villages Project or one of his other channels?
Yeah, he was just, I think it was in its very, very infancy at that point. It was basically, if you're interested, I think sending scans of your passports, getting in touch with him, kind of a basic breakdown of like what it's about, and then sending scans of your passports if you're serious and interested.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah,
And
because
when,
one thing
go
that
ahead.
worked out is because of my partner in this, who's Timur. So we have Tim and Timur, basically two Tims. He was able to sort of pre-screen people, which is something very unique to this project. Sort of get the vibe from the migration authorities, where yeah, if they would be able to immigrate, yes or no, because you never know what red flags could come up. And so that's the whole point of that. There was a point when the project was going to be something much more big and much more grandiose, and we kind of needed a minimum amount of participants to get the government to maybe sign off on doing something, but that did not come to pass. This is a completely private thing. There's zero government support. It's just Tim and Tim doing it.
Very good, very good. And so, Derek, one question that I have to ask is, once you came across Tim's video and you had seen President Putin in this Christmas video, what were your initial thoughts when you thought, wow, Russia could possibly be our next home? I mean, what was your thought process? What were you thinking? And had the Western propaganda, was it difficult to overcome in any of that subtle programming, as I like to call it?
Uh, I don't really feel like the propaganda has ever really gotten to me. We're from Texas, Republicans. Um, I always feel like I'm pretty well informed, good at doing my own research, and I don't know, man. The more we started looking at Russia, it's always, you always see it in the movies. It's beautiful, amazing. Um, you hear about the people, and every single movie, Russia's always the enemy, the bad guy. We just didn't let any of that bother us. We thought, let's just go check it out. And I mean, I won't say we weren't surprised. But we were really happy to find out the people here are amazing. The country's amazing. It's beautiful. The way things are built, just not the same. The even going in the malls, like stuff's marble and stone, and the metro stations, everything just so beautiful. But I don't know, man. None of that really got to us. We wanted to see it with our own eyes, and that was all it took. The one
Yeah.
trip, and
Uh,
we didn't want to leave.
Mhm.
that's usually that's a common theme that I hear from
Yeah.
people because that happened to me as well. Everyone who eventually immigrates to Russia came to Russia for the very first time. So everybody has that experience, and so I'm first of all, I want to say that uh, I want to give you props and respect for wanting to come visit Russia first. There have been
Yeah.
some people that just sell everything, pack up, make a decision, and come here without realizing
Yeah.
because Russia does have certain challenges. Russia does have a very thick bureaucracy,
Oh,
and
that is the challenge, my friend.
It's
you cannot beat it.
no.
As a foreigner, you will never beat the bureaucracy. But it is a challenge. But it's best to come and visit first, and that's been my motto ever since. If somebody says they want to come live in Russia, come visit first, man.
Yeah, that's
You've
our
got to
first
figure it
advice.
out if it's for you or not. So I'm curious, when you guys came here and you saw Russia, did it bust any preconceived ideas that you already had? And what was your first impression of it when you came?
Yeah.
Pretty much hit it. It's gorgeous. It has wonderful architecture. The people are really helpful and amazing, and especially knowing a tiny bit of Russian, they actually want to know like more and more and more. They feel like you're trying to do something to have a conversation with them. They're more willing to open up and be like, "Tell me all the things." And
It's clean too. That
very
was one of the big first things we noticed. The clean streets. Um, when you ride the metro, you go down real deep on the escalators, and you stand to the one side so that people who are in a hurry can hurry down the other side, and everybody just does what they're supposed to do. They're not loud. They're not obnoxious. Everything is organized and clean, and it's like people just there's order, and I mean, I think we both really appreciated
amazing.
that. Just the little things like that, just the whole different culture, man. It's nothing like America, and or maybe like it used to be, but nothing like America is today. And I think our first impression was just wow, like just beautiful, clean. Um, I don't know. Yeah.
We
Yeah,
also
that
love the mix. We see a lot of different people just showing who they are through the clothing they're wearing and the things they're wearing. And we feel like it brings us back to the 80s a lot, where
Oh,
people are just showing who they are. And it's really inspiring to see that people can be who they are and yet still mind their manners and still be good citizens and clean and a beautiful architectured place. It's amazing.
well, yeah,
I've
like
heard
whether
that.
you're punk or
Go ahead.
goth or into rap on the metro, everybody's showing up.
100%. We love it. It's awesome.
It's the goth. It reminds us of the night. We've noticed the goth style was still strong here.
Yeah, there's a few of
Yeah,
them, but
America.
that's mostly downtown. I'm sure when you go to
Yes.
Istra downtown, not a lot of goths.
No, no,
So,
not as many. No.
Yeah, that's quite interesting because I've always said when I first went back after visiting Russia and I went back and my friends were asking me what was it like? Did you get stopped and harassed by the police? Were the gopniks trying to sell you drugs or have you come down this dark alley with them? And I told them, I said no. In fact, Russia is much like the United States, only better. And when I
Yes.
said what I would say that only better, they would say, "Well, how?" And I said, "Well, it's difficult to articulate. You've got to come visit Russia first. You
Hmm.
got to see it for yourself to really understand it." So I'm curious, what did your family think about it when you went back?
Well, my parents are, they're pretty laid back, pretty easygoing. They're this is what you want to do. We're happy for you. I would say your parents had more concerns than mine. Um, they were, their their generation, they're a little older. They're like the that generation of the Cold War. I always like to say where Russia is the bad guy. Is it going to be safe for your kids? Is it going to be safe for you? And are you going to get mugged or get robbed when you fly through the airport? And it's funny because it's the opposite. I felt like when I flew out to make the down payment on our house, I wasn't worried about Russian customs. I was worried about American customs stealing my money or giving me a hard time. And it's just funny. It's the complete opposite. But her parents had a lot of concerns. Um, and we've slowly won them over with evidence. I mean, we ride the bus in from our house into Istra all the time, and there's kids probably 6, 7, 8 years old, come right on, hit their Troika card, get on the bus, and then you see a whole group of them. They all get off, obviously, where the school's at. I mean, see them walking the streets at night, and it's not a problem. Not, I mean, it's completely safe, and I mean, we know that it's it's sure there's crime somewhere. It's not perfect, but we wouldn't even let our children run around our neighborhood in Houston without us. So, and I think so. We've slowly won her family over. I think they finally understand, and they're debating on maybe coming to visit. It's a lot, it's
Mm.
expensive and it's a long way.
Oh, see, that you didn't tell me. Well, yeah, it is a long way, but hey, hopefully with these negotiations, they keep having these rumors of restoring direct air flights. That'll make it way cheaper if that does happen.
Yes.
If so.
Yeah. Yeah. We're hoping for it as well. It'd be nice. It'd be nice to see some sanctions lifted and make things a little easier. Um, but we'll see.
It it sure will. And you mentioned that you're in Istra, so this is Istra where the New Jerusalem
Yeah.
monastery is. It?
We
I
drive by
was
it every day.
I was just there just a few weeks ago and actually did a video there not too long ago. But now that I know that you're there, maybe I'll have to come visit one day.
Yeah, come check out
Welcome
the
anytime.
village and the house, and I mean, yeah, you're welcome anytime to come out. We haven't actually gone to the monastery yet. We plan to visit one of these weekends. We just it's been a month. We're still kind of settling in and
Right,
and
right.
figuring
And
things
doing the
out.
bureaucracy.
Yeah.
So tell me,
Fun
what
stuff.
is the process like? I mean, I know what it's like to build a home in the States and all of that headache dealing with, usually a mortgage company or a bank to finance construction and then the permits and just on and on and on. It is a bureaucratic pain. What is it like to build a home in Russia? And you weren't even physically in Russia when they started construction, were you?
No, no. So SmartStroy, the company that's building the homes, did a really great job. We had a live stream camera on our property. So we could literally, I could log in 24 hours a day from Texas and see exactly what was going on the house.
Yeah, I even remember the
Um,
day you first sent me when like they poured the foundation. They're like,
uh,
Tim, look, they poured it. That was awesome.
it's really neat. I mean, you don't get that in America, but not just that, the whole customer portal was broken down to every dollar spent, even to where you could click and see the receipts. Now, reading them and translating them is another story if you don't speak
Mm.
the language, but very transparent. And then also pictures too. They would, I mean, probably once a week, sometimes more, sometimes less, but would upload, different shots of the property, different steps they were going through. So it was very transparent. It was very neat. A lot of fun. That was pretty much my morning routine because of the time difference. As I would wake up in the morning and go right onto Telegram and go to my portal and kind of see what was happening, if anything new was built or what they were working on that day. So I mean, it had its difficulties too, but it was I mean, it's pretty damn transparent. I mean, I would say if you're interested in coming, that's one thing. You're going to know what you're getting, and you're going to see the progress every day. It's not going to be a blind process where you're just like, man, I hope they're building my house. Maybe they'll send me
Right,
a
right.
Yeah,
picture.
yeah.
It's
But
not
I have to
like that
say
at
that
all.
I would have to say thank you to both Derek and Deanna for having a lot of faith in me because one of the things that I hope for the future of the this American Village or maybe some other site in the future is that now with Derek and his and Deanna and their family and with the other family that is getting their house done, people see that you can send me a very large amount of money and I won't steal it. Um, and so for those who are sort of on the fence, now's the time. I would say the one thing that, from my standpoint, that's kind of a downer is, Eddie, you may have noticed that construction costs in Russia exploded. Like it was only just a few years ago before a certain happened in 2020, and things were really cheap. And now it is unfortunately quite an investment to have a new nice. You can buy a complete piece of junk that'll fall apart and be worthless, but a nice house in Russia is quite an expensive luxury. Russia's sort of halfway to being the like the costs of buying your average home in Ohio, for example, where I'm from. So Russia's already halfway there, maybe even more than halfway.
Yeah, Tim, and I also have a question for you with regard to American villages. Is Can you explain what American Village is to those who may not know? Is this a like a subdivision? Is it a an actual village itself, or
Okay.
is it an idea? What
Well, so here's the
exactly is it?
thing. It initially grew out of an idea. It came from a conversation I had in the kitchen of Father Joseph Gleason's in his house, in his kitchen, right? So he was also sort of co-author of the overall idea with me in a way. But the thing is, it's the idea has changed a bunch of times, and the Western media wrote a bunch of garbage about it. So a lot of times I get hate mail or fan mail about this project, and the things that people write have nothing to do with reality. So initially, it was supposed to be on 30 hectares of land near a place called Sierpukhov, which is in the very, very south of the Moscow region. And it was actually going to be something with government support, and it was going to have, a few hundred homes and everything be pre-built, and people would, come in and buy them, this, that, and the other. But ultimately, the cost of electricity killed it. The land that we were given, there's a reason that we were allowed to use that land, is because it's in a very weird location and required 8 kilometers worth of cable just to get the electricity to the border of it. And that killed it because the cost of it was astronomical. It was worked out to be like 172 million rubles, which is what, 170 some $1,000 or whatever. And I don't have that, and I can't take out a loan for that amount of money, and that killed it. So then we sort of, with Timur and I, we sat down and thought, how can we do this in a more safer, different way? And that's where we have this, where we knew someone who was selling a very large amount of land in a particular dacha community that already exists. So the good thing is it already exists. As Derek and DeAnna can attest, they already have neighbors near them, and there's already electricity. So it's not like this build something in the woods and hope it works. It's already there. It's just that this guy happened to own a very large portion of this dacha community, and we just thought, okay, we'll sort of team up with him and try to basically help him sell off this remainder of the dacha community, but have it be all for English-speaking people from the West, not just Americans. So that's what the actual project is now. And I repeat, this has nothing to do with Putin or the government anymore. It's a purely private thing, 100%.
I think there's a lot of
Go
misconception.
ahead,
I feel like I think some people have asked me, and they think that because it's called the American Village, that
Yeah.
it project that it's just a village that's all Americans, and it's a
Well, that
common
was the initial
misconception.
idea, but the initial idea that was very important was that it was supposed to be open. It was almost supposed to be like not like a Disney World, but like kind of like a weird attraction, like a roadside attraction
Mhm.
where people could come and see it. And there was going to be an American football stadium. It was actually because people were like, "How dare you build a closed-off community in Russia for the American elite?" I'm like, it was never closed off. It was the opposite. It was supposed to be like open and let people come, and especially for those who want to teach English, it would be like the English teaching mecca of Russia. So the concept, even from the start, was never to be closed off. But everyone, they read something somewhere and they got angry.
Yeah, and in fact, I'm glad you
Oh,
said
my,
that because I was about to bring that up, Tim, that there's been some controversy over it, even among some people here in Russia,
Yeah.
thinking that it was going to be a closed community,
Yeah.
English speakers only. They'll never, integrate into Russian society and things like
That's
that.
also so unbelievably retarded from the standpoint of how many of those Volga Germans were set up around the Volga River, and how they all assimilated. There have been so many different, I don't know, sort of like groups like that, and everyone assimilates. So just the thought that and again, this sort of goes back to the weird sort of cultural inferiority complex a lot of Russians have. So if you have 100 homes, it was going to be 130 homes, but let's say 100 homes, 5 people in them, 500 people, right? So they really thought that these 500 people would be able to resist the titanic power of Russian culture and this gigantic land empire of 1,000 years of history and more. Those 500 Westerners would somehow win or be the dominant force or something. It's just, sorry for being very school childish, but it is retarded. That's all I can say.
No, absolutely. And so that's one of the reasons that I wanted to have you here, because I wanted you to explain the concept of American Village, because
Yeah.
I think the name is genius, but at the same time, it can give a connotation that it's somewhat closed off because it is in Russia.
Well, we're kind of
But
stuck with it, but because, well, the thing is, dude, it was supposed to be something attractive to guys who wear suits who might want to do some kind of project like that. That's kind of who the marketing for. We might have to change the name, I don't know. But as the future goes forward, the sort of mechanism, the legal mechanism that we came up with, so that way Derek and DeAnna and the other neighbors and some other people are able to buy land in Russia they normally couldn't buy and get their own house built on it. All those sort of legal and systemic mechanisms could apply to really anywhere. So if someone was watching this and they're like, well, I don't know, Tim, I'm from Italy. What do I do? I want to live in Russia, but my English is so bad. It's just American Villages because that's a cool name. Like if you're Italian, we can build you a house and get you land wherever. Or Tim, but I've really gotten excited about Nizhny Novgorod. I watched Timur, and Nizhny Novgorod looks cooler. Okay, we'll build your house there. Like, so it's more of like a build you a home to move to Russia, because no matter what you do, you need a place to live to immigrate to Russia. And most Westerners, especially you guys as a married couple, you don't have anything here. And everyone says, oh, I'll just rent. I'm sure, Eddie, you've probably heard some horror stories of people who come here to immigrate, they try to rent something, and
Yep.
they get super mega screwed over. So you should really, if someone has any sort of capital, be that capital something fairly large or be it small, you should buy something in Russia. Even let's just say someone comes to Russia with way less money. I don't know, maybe they liquidate like $30,000 or $40,000. Not a whole heck of a lot of money. You should still then buy a junker house and over time fix it up, because otherwise you're not going to be able to immigrate. Even if because I can't build you a house for $40,000. I just can't. So this doesn't involve me. But for your own safety, your own benefit, you should buy a junker apartment or a junker house for that money and be happy there and be registered there. So
that is very prudent advice, because with President Putin's recent decree for what we term the shared values visa,
yeah,
we've got a lot of interest with people who want to move to Russia but don't have an idea of how to do it, because the legal mechanisms in place make it easy for you to immigrate on paper, but
well,
where are
yeah,
you
but
going to live? How are you going to live?
well, yeah, like
And
you probably saw on my channel with Derek and DeAnna, the building company, that was more on their end, but I wasn't opposed and I helped out. They rented a whole big bus so we could get all 13 of their suitcases and dog in a kennel onto this bus and get it to their house. If you're going to move here, otherwise, you're not going to have anyone really waiting for you. And again, this
no,
whole thing about like renting an apartment, but what if the landlord doesn't want to register you? And you kind of, the thing about the American Villages Project now, it's more broader and it's a bit more about we're going to get you into a home. The home is going to be built to a nice standard. We have video proof of it, and you'll be able to start your life in Russia that way. So, yeah. Because
yeah,
again,
that is
as someone who came here without a place to live, my life changed dramatically the day I put that bag of 5,000 ruble bills in front of someone and at least bought the crappiest dacha in the Moscow region, because I could at least register myself and my children there. Finally, after like a decade of
Right.
floundering. So yeah,
Well, to go back to how they not only picked us up, the refrigerator, because we were coming in so late. We no car, no means to get food, so there was some food, a couple days worth of food in the fridge. And not just that, now that we're here, as well as our neighbors who are finishing their house right now, any future people who are interested and actually want to come and do sign up and come, we've been through the process. We started a channel as well so that we can help people understand the nuance to what it takes, and you know having somebody who's actually been through it to walk you through it. I mean, Tim's been here every step of the way, and it's been huge. But now we've all kind of seen, okay, this is how it actually is going to work.
yeah.
Getting your cell phones. Luckily I had a bank account from when I had come last year, but now we've seen how it works. There are proven people here, like you said, and so there's with every one of us, there's more help. more
Yeah,
people to
well, there's
guide you
some
along the
mystery things
way.
like with what happened that I feel bad about. It's not really my fault, but I still feel like it is. Was as soon as their houses became houses in the legal sense, and we got them on the magical cadastral map the government uses,
Hmm.
I was like, great. So I'll just wake up on Monday and I will, what is it called? Try to register everyone. Great. This should be easy. And on the Gososlugi website, the big government bureaucracy site, it said it takes a maximum of 7 working days, minimum, but most often it happens within 24 hours. Awesome. They had to wait 2 weeks, and this is 2 weeks when they don't have the ability to get cell phones because you have to have your registration to then go get your cell phones. So I feel bad, guys. I couldn't control it. I don't know what happened, but it's the longest I've ever heard of a foreigner being registered, requiring 2 weeks of waiting just for that.
Yeah.
So a lot of that stuff can be a real butt kicker when you're trying to first get set up here.
We had our Verizon, and we had accrued 12 free travel pass days because they give you one a month. So Matt, I guess we had 12 accrued each, and we thought, oh, we'll show up. 12 days is probably plenty of time to get registered because in a hotel it's fast. It's a whole different ball game registering in a home. For immigration purposes, not just I'm here for a week in a hotel to visit.
Yeah, yeah.
And unfortunately, our travel pass days had run out, and then it was $12 a day for each phone to where each day. So ultimately, we turned hers off. But Tim got us a little modem for internet, and as long as you have internet, you can still use Telegram, WhatsApp, a translator app. So a lot of that stuff still works while you have if you can get internet in
But
some
you can't
form.
get internet without a SIM card, and you can't get a SIM card without registration. So thank you, Tim.
Yeah. So I
Because
kind of
literally you can't do nothing without registration.
Yeah.
Like you
well, yeah.
have
To be
to
honest,
have registration.
I really actually wanted kind of an extra Wi-Fi router, so I just thought, why not buy one now and
Yeah.
let you use it for the time being? But no, yeah, from what
We
I understand, he
appreciate it.
actually finally installed like the real hardwired
Yes.
internet,
Yeah,
and it's
we got
probably
internet.
fairly fast, right?
So far, the only problem with it is fast, but they had to put it for now the routers in the front room, and this is a smart block home, so
Ah, gotcha.
we need to get either another router or something to help get the signal to the
A
rest of the house because
repeater, yeah,
these walls are thick,
Yeah.
they're blocked, so.
Yeah.
to
But
push
it works
out there.
great. Yeah. Yeah. We're happy to finally have our internet. We finally got on the Gossaslugi and got through all of that, got the SIM cards. And actually, I wish we would have went to MTS, the phone store first. They gave us a sheet that shows you step by step the process. And we didn't know that. So now again, we're working on a video for that to help anybody else who might have questions or they can reach out directly. And we can kind of talk them through exactly what we had to do.
Many people might remember in the recent past it was really easy. You could just go to Russia and buy a telephone number. Unfortunately, probably in connection with the Crocus City terrorist attack, those days are over, and they're now very particular about who buys phone numbers, especially non-citizens.
And you need it. It attaches to everything. We couldn't order a taxi. When we ordered a taxi, we could order it, but we had to pay cash every time. And getting change, those rubles add up.
Yeah.
And they don't carry change. So you have to attach your phone or go to the grocery store. And if you have a store card, just like in America, you get a huge discount, but you got to have a phone number to activate the card and attach to it. So having a phone number is huge.
Yeah,
It's like all these different things that we couldn't do. And before you can even get any of that, you have to have registration. So making sure you have the right people you're connected with to be able to get registration is huge. A lady was reaching out asking me a bunch of questions, and I was like, registration, even if you rent a place, like you need registration. So make sure you're connected with the right people, because if you don't have the right people, who's to say that someone you're renting from is going to give you registration, because that's a whole process. Thank you again, Tim.
It all speaks to the
Yes, 100%.
Oh, Derek, I can't hear you. Something happened to your microphone there.
yeah,
I
your
think.
audio's going in and out.
Yeah, it's kind of flopping around.
Let me go open that door.
Well, I hear. How can I hear only Deanna?
I can hear DeAnna perfectly.
How is that? Yeah, how is that possible when you're talking into the same microphone? Do you guys have to like switch positions or something?
Maybe it's on. Let's see. Can you hear me better over here?
Yeah, I can hear
Yeah,
you fine. How
apparently
about
you're
DeAnna? No.
worse.
Now we have the same problem.
It must be your mic must be on this side.
Well, I don't know. Whoever wants to talk has to sit on that side. Oh,
There you
very
go.
well. But yeah. So, anyways, yeah. Unfortunately, guys. So, in some ways, the Derek and DeAnna know that they're a little bit on the guinea pig side because they're the first people to do the American Village thing, like the first. So that's pretty crazy. And like I said, I think that now that there's video evidence that this process works. I think that's going to help more people move to Russia. And again, you don't have to live in any particular place in Russia, but you have to have a place to live, and that's something I can get built for you. Yeah, because that's a big deal.
Absolutely right, and I think that's like I said, that's prudent, especially if you're thinking about just wanting to leave the United States or wherever you're from and wanting to move to Russia. You're going to need a place to live, and renting an apartment, renting a hotel, or on the short term, that's great, but long term, that's just not going to be a very good solution. So
Especially not for retirement, man.
no, not at all.
Like some people I know who are foreigners were renting an apartment. They're like, well, it's only 60,000 rubles a month, and you're like, if you're still thinking in dollars, yeah, that's not so bad. That's what, less than $600 or something a month. But if you're thinking in terms of like Russian money, unless you're doing pretty good for yourself, 60,000 is a pretty big kick in the cojones, every month. So you definitely want to own your own home, and that is really the key to wealth in Russia. That's my Dave Ramsey moment. Owning your own home in Russia is definitely the key to wealth building.
Agreed. Agreed. Derek and DeAnna, I'm going to list your information to your YouTube channel down in the description. Tim, I'm going to have yours down in the description as well.
Yeah.
And I wanted to really just kind of keep this brief because I just wanted to make this as a little introduction, talk about your channel, talk about your story, and then also I wanted to give Tim an opportunity to talk about American Villages Project, and basically for all the naysayers that have been out there, just to say, hey guys, it's done. It's we're legit. We're the bomb. So I thank you guys for that.
Eddie,
Do you have any parting words?
I'll go first then. Eddie, I just want to say I really appreciate that, man. Thank you for bringing some objectivity to this. And again, I don't know. I would definitely say I've gotten a lot of messages of support, but a surprising amount of messages of hate. And again, I think people read something somewhere, they imagine something that doesn't exist, and they write me as if it's pure fact. And that's the problem. There's nothing nefarious here, man. Ultimately, what the American Village now is, it's the ability to buy land in a house near someone surrounded by Russian speakers, but near some other people who speak English, or just buy a house in Russia anywhere so you can immigrate. And of course, part of the program also is immigration support through my buddy Timur Beslangurov. So it's sort of like build a life in Russia, like I wouldn't say starter kit. I would say sort of like hardcore kit. You buy into this, and your life in Russia gets set up. That's basically what it is.
Absolutely. Derek and DeAnna, any words you'd like
Well,
to
he mentioned Timur. I didn't get a chance to also give a shout out to Timur, our immigration attorney. Man, he knows his stuff, and he has gone so far beyond and above and beyond for us. Just really, really amazing. I mean, I trust the man. I flew out with a whole lot of cash and handed it over to him to put a deposit on our house. And I mean, I trust the man with my children. He's a great guy. Does a great job. And for those who don't speak the language real well, his English is really good.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, ultimately, we're just happy to be here, and really thankful to Russia to having us, but Tim for all his help, Smart Story for building our home. I mean, we couldn't be happier.
Excellent, excellent. And just a little plug for Worry Free Russia, which is a travel consulting and concierge service for those who want to visit Russia. And also, if you're thinking of moving to Russia, it's a great place to get some information from knowledgeable people. And also on my website, there is a trusted partners page, and both Timur and Tim Kirby from American Villages are on that page. You can get information directly to their sites from there. So I invite you to go to worryfreerussia.com for all of your travel information needs about traveling to Russia. Guys, thank you all so much. Derek and DeAnna, if you will hang on with me afterward, I'd like to have a little word with you guys. But at this time, I think we will say do завтра, до свидания, all that good
Yeah.
stuff.
Daniel.
All right.
До свидания.
До
До
свидания.
свидания.